Good morning and welcome to FYI. Welcome, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We trust you guys have had a fantastic weekend. We trust you have had a great weekend, guys, and that you fired up and you're ready for another productive week. Folks, we're almost at the end of November. Believe it or not, it's the 28th day already. 1 month from now, Christmas, at least Christmas Day and Boxing Day would have been behind us. Believe it or not, guys, we're hastening on to Christmas. Siobhan McDonald, have you seen that? Beatrice Selby, have you seen how fast we're beating out to Christmas? Good to have you, Beatrice. Good morning, Siobhan. Good morning, Yvonne Ramasar and Timur Ford. Guys, you all see how the place is getting dark quick coming up to Christmas. Good to have. I don't know if that happens in everywhere around the world, but you know in Guyana, once you see is those 5:30 and the place looking a little bleak, you say, hey, coming on to Christmas. Either it's going to rain. It's going to rain. Correct, is Charmley Richmond. We hope that you are well and that work is off to a fantastic start, even if that work is from home. Sasha Trim, we hope that you're good as well. And Orma John Cook, who joins us from Region 3. You know, they're saying that West Side, like, it's not going to be the best side after all. They're telling us West Side, it is up for grabs now. Whether West Side is going to be the best side, the guys are going to make sure that we are cross post to where we need to be, that we're on all the right pages. And guys, we're so happy you folks are here with us. Of course, West Side is losing that stature as the best side. We saw some folks put on, what is supposed to be a harpy eagle on the West Side, and that alone could take away the bragging rights from West Side as being the best side, because with that depiction of the harpy eagle there, not too many folks very pleased about that. I think people see it coming that they're going to lose this prestige of West Side being the best side. They already got the struggle of having to house the University of IFLA there, and being of that renown, the West Side has already been tainted, and now they're putting down a monument there, the depiction of the harpy eagle. Folks, it's a little thing. Stan Bourne, we see you there. And Derek Smith, we see you as well. And Kirk Anthony Phillips. Julian Mars, we see you as well, Julian. And we welcome you, and we welcome Jacqueline and Glenford Gordon and all the other folks who are joining us around the breakfast table this morning. Folks, pull up a chair, pull up a cup of something with us, a cup of coffee, tea, Milo tea, tea bag tea. You name it. You take your kind of tea that you want. Maybe some toast. Maybe just some bread and butter. I want to get too bushy with y'all. And some bake with some, or the folks might say wrap. You bring a wrap with something. A little roti aloo, some bacon saltfish, some wrap with some salted fish. Whatever floats your boat. Fiesta, good to have you, and more is it Fretta Phillips, good to have you. Fratia Phillips, I said that with Fratia Phillips. Mongolia, good to have you as well. And Poor People Governor, how you doing, my brother? How you doing, Mr. Allen? Good to have you here this morning. I trust that you guys are having a great time at your end, because we know Mr. Allen is in Canada. Poor People Governor is in Canada. Well, at least I think he was. I don't know if you're home for Christmas, but we hope that you're well, and wherever you are, the weather is going to be cooperative. Good to see Joy Pamela here with us too, and Dion, Ayana, Bibi Sandyford. That's one person, it's not four. Dion, Ayana, Bibi Sandyford. Guyana's son is with us. Well, I hope the sun is doing fine outside this morning. We hope the sun is doing fine. Folks, it was drizzling as I came in a little early this morning. It was drizzling. How it is now, we hope that it's good. Lace MC, we see you there. Lace MC, I don't know if it's pronounced with an accent over the E there. Good to see you. And Rena Cummins, thanks, Rena, for all the information you sent over the weekend. Thank you so much. Rena Cummins joining us there from Peters Hall there in the East Bank. Peters Hall, Providence in the East Bank. Good to have you, Rena. And Rena is one of those boots on the ground folks who don't just talk boots on the ground, but actual boots on the ground folks. The folks in China wising up, and like the folks in Iran. With boots on the ground, it seems to be the only way you get the attention of the leaders, and you get meaningful change. Silbert Stewart, good to have you. Elizabeth Howard, Wendy, good to have you as well. Ingrid Crawford, great to have you, Ingrid. and all the other folks joining us. Folks, I got a bit of good news this morning that kind of lifts your. It's not the kind of good news you might think, appeals to somebody, but it kind of lifted my spirit this morning because oftentimes, guys, Orban and Siobhan and Margaret Nelson and Dolly Anderson, we do all of these programs, and sometimes you don't know, you're not always able to weigh the impact. And yes, people tell us all the time, good going and good job and so on. You're not always able to weigh the impact. But I got a call from a guy this morning who said that he was given our number by a colleague of his who says that, they reached out to us and got some meaningful help. I don't know how many of you remembered when we featured that story out of Kokwani. Well, as a matter of fact, this was out of Araima, where some school children were perplexed. The boat they were using to ferry them often came late, and it was a single boat, and they had to be packed like sardines in the boat because the bus was taken away from the area and all of that. But the guy said to me that they were able to resolve that issue because it was aired on our programs almost immediately. Once the authorities saw the exposure, well, they didn't like the embarrassment, and they rectified that problem. And I was so heartened when they said they were able to get some meaningful assistance, having reached out to us and us, making known to the public what was happening there, and then the authorities immediately stepped in. And that is what this is about. That is what this is about. In lots of instances, it's not working harder. I mean, look, we have hundreds of you who are joining us now. If I had to see all of you on a one-by-one basis on a Monday morning, that's the whole day gone. But this medium helps us to work not only harder, but helps us to work smarter as well. If I had to come to all of your doors and tell you individually what's happening at Araima, what's happening at Peru, what's happening someplace else in this country, the amount of energy and time that alone would take. But thanks to the advent of social media, we don't have to work necessarily harder, but it enables us to work smarter. And I was so heartened when he said that problem was resolved because the issue was raised via our medium, as other people raise different issues and other programs too, and they were able to get almost immediate. And he said the fellow told him, if there's anybody you should call. I was so heartened by that. And of course, we're gonna talk a little bit about their issue later on in the program, if not in a subsequent program. But that was a little fuel to get my morning going. Bridget, sometimes when people tell you, good job, what you're doing, well done, good effort, that thing could be, some power for the hour, Gwyneth and Irwin, that I know what you're talking about, Irwin says, as soon as he says Sherrod Duncan, they just fly right. Irwin, you've been too kind. You've been too kind. Sasha Trim, we see you there. And Gail Alicock. Gail says, pace and power. That's how we want to start the Monday, with pace and power. Credible information here. Gwyneth Anderson says, I was so energized by that. That was like, wind in my sails, to buoy us for another week. Bridget Campbell, good to see you. And all the other folks who are joining us. Francine Cruz, good to have you as well. And Yvonne Ramsar. Guys, I really trust you had a great weekend. I had a great weekend. I had a very quiet Saturday. It rained a lot Saturday. And I was on the ground in Mecca on Saturday. Almost went back yesterday. Got to go again today, folks, because we got to get you credible, valid information. And we got to pursue the truth wherever it leads. That's one of the things we're very key on. So spent a lot of time on Saturday in Mecca. Got some good Chinese food afterwards, though. Got some good Chinese food. I spared my wife some cooking. And yesterday morning, we did a couple laps in the park, even though it was drizzling. You should see us. We had on our sweaters, had on our hats, our track shoes, and so on. Had my son in his stroller, the big umbrella over him. And we did a couple laps in the park. And then we decided we were going to go and have a breakfast in the city. I had a very a balanced weekend. Put in some work, but got some family time in there as well. Guys, when I was out in Mecca over the weekend, the guys are clearing a stretch of the real estate there to put down road. And as I was doing some investigation, they got lots of sand laid out there. And I could hear the guy who was guiding me at the back saying, hold on, right? And I made one step forward, and I was waist deep in sand. You know, they were filling in some of what used to be swamplands there and marsh and so on. And as I stepped, I was waist deep in sand. If I went there alone, I would have been in serious trouble. Right? But the guy behind me was able to reach out his hand and eventually pulled me free. Not without much effort. You know, I was waist deep in sand. The guy said, "Don't move." You know, don't move. Good to see you, Angel Adele Wade, watching us. And I know that if Angel is watching, we have Stacy watching as well, Stacy Wade, and you know, the whole Wade clan going to be watching there in Yeovil, Bobis, and also in number 28. But let's just say 28. You know, tongue people, we say number 28, right? People from Bobis are going 28. You know exactly what they're talking about, right? Us here, number 28. We do it differently. But good to have each and every one of you guys. I had an eventful weekend, to say the least. A balance of work and also putting in some family time. A balanced week. Good to have you folks. Rena Cummins, great to see you there, Rowena. Rowena says you're here. And I was at Courts and shopping the Black Friday. I aim for the Cyber Monday. Got you there. I skip out. I don't like the crowds. I skip out the Black Friday, but the Cyber Monday, that's why I look for cash in on. Right? And I can tell you how much percent off for Cyber Monday. Right? Because they want to think with us and so on. Right? Right? Yeah. Beatrice says she read in the Chronicle, that government will go break down 5 houses in Mocha because the people don't want to move. That is some of what you were covering, Rena, over the Beatrice, over the weekend, and we're going to have an exclusive report on that throughout the day, beginning, I think, for our podcast, and more so tonight's broadcast. We're going to have some exclusive coverage of what is happening there in Mocha and some of the thoughts of the residents there as well in Mocha. And that's why we spent a lot of time over the weekend in Mocha, waist deep in sand and mud and all manner of things. But folks, we got to pursue the truth on your behalf wherever that truth leads us. Penelope Hudson, good to see you, and Donna Daly and all the other folks who are joining us this morning. I'm so happy that you guys are here. We have the morning papers at hand, folks. We want to bring some of those headlines to you. June Cameron said, we there outside. Of course, June. No other way to do it. We got to be outside. That's where the action That's where the action is. Rosie Rose, Jiff, and Fatia Phillips, Shauna D. Morris, and Linda Thomas, and all the other guys. Guys, we're so privileged that you are here with us this morning. We're fired up as usual, guys, and we are ready to go. I want to encourage you guys who haven't had a chance as yet. We still, thankfully, celebrating our anniversary this month. And if you haven't had a chance to contribute to our program ever, no lots of you have never, because somehow you all think we can take your $10 US and run away, you know. But those of you who haven't had a chance to do so, seek the opportunity to do so. This is what our programs are for, bringing you valid, credible information. And I wish to God I didn't have to come and ask. I didn't have to get down on my knees. I didn't have to beg, right? But it helps us to keep going. We just don't have it like that, to cover the entire program ourselves, to sponsor the entire program ourselves. And that is why we've started reaching out to you guys to help us to keep doing what we're doing. And I'm certain by now, you see, we're onto something. We've been going kitty cutter, but we've been getting somewhere. Only the real guy is going to understand that. We've been going kitty cutter, but we've been getting somewhere. We're available via Cash App, guys, and Zelle and PayPal, MMG, MoneyGram, and Western Union as well, folks. And of course, so I'm going to go without saying, but I'll say it anyhow. Every cent that you guys give us, go to furthering our programs. There might be some technical people we have to have on board to help us to look more professional and to just get the information to you in a proper order and so on, whether it's keeping the internet going, is the lights on, it's the place the studio in which we house the facilities to get this done in a meaningful way. But it takes something to keep all that going. That's why we reach out to you folks. We're available by Cash App and Zelle and PayPal, MMG, MoneyGram, Western Union, folks. And you can tell us Merry Christmas early with a good donation to help us to keep moving forward. folks, is going to be so meaningful to us. It's going to be so meaningful to us. So on that front, folks, let's get into the morning papers and see some of what making the headlines, folks. And you are cleared to drop some headlines in the comment section of what's happening around where you folks are. Share your life. It's important you guys do that, especially those who are joining us on YouTube. I want to say a special good morning to you folks. Those of you joining on Twitter, good morning. Facebook people, you're going to be in our shine. Anyhow, those folks who are joining us on LinkedIn, you know, a couple of things happening on the morning papers that we think you kind folks ought to know about, guys. We think you guys ought to know about. And guys, just give us a second. All right there for us. Let's make sure that we're in the right place in our notes. Yep. This is quite important. They are telling us, first and foremost, that COVID, guys, COVID, we told you, there seems to be a surge, even though the numbers are going to look low to you. We started from 1 last week, then 2 confirmed cases. Now we're up to 9 confirmed cases this morning. And believe it or not, lots of people still not reporting the COVID status, because you know you can do home tests now. There's no mandatory testing the way it used to be. You can do home tests, and you know they told us when they were coming out of the strict phase that if there was ever strict phase, that if you do home tests and you're positive, you don't have to let them know that information. You just don't. And so the numbers you're going to be seeing aren't necessarily what's obtaining out there, but it's a good sense because we're seeing an uptick. And Frank Anthony did tell us last week, or if not 2 weeks ago, that they were seeing a surge in these COVID numbers, 4 persons being in ICU. Folks, later on in the day, you're going to get some information via our Facebook page about subscribing to our YouTube channel, because beginning next year, we want to do a slow transition. You'll be seeing more and more of our broadcasts on YouTube, because too often we find Facebook has an outage, has some technical issue, and we can't get on, or we're forced to come on late. And YouTube seems to be a more reliable partner. YouTube seems to be a more reliable partner. But over the next month, we are going to transition with you guys. We're going to tell, because we know lots of the folks who join us, lots of the demographics that join us are mature folks and who are not necessarily in tune with YouTube as a platform. So you're going to see more and more a gradual shift to YouTube, which seems to be a more stable platform to broadcast from than Facebook. But we're going to do that transition together. Just wanted to stick that in as we get into the morning papers. And again, that first issue there with the COVID. And guys, we say to you, take all the precautions that you need to. Take all of the precautions that you need to stay safe. I mean, there's no mandatory restrictions now in terms of mandatory mask wearing, especially where we are in the 592. There's no mandatory social distancing or sanitization or all of that. That's all up to you. But we're saying, because we're seeing the uptick, we're not out of the woods yet. And as you'll see in China, by my Lord, they're having the time of their lives there. And because they themselves are seeing an uptick, they're taking some very, very stringent measures. And we advise that if you can wear a mask, do so. If you can sanitize, do so. If you can social distance, continue to do so to the benefit of yourself, your friends, your family, and all the people who you love and care about. Please, because this thing is very, very, very real. Other things we are covering, folks, on the morning papers, guys. We're seeing Dr. Veersamy Ramaiah is set to be charged very shortly for cybercrime offense. And Veersamy Ramaiah left the AFC, went over to the PPP, and now seems to be in no man's land. You know, you've no use to those fellas didn't got time with you. You see? You gotta be purebred to have any meaning to them, you know. You gotta be born and bred PPP. You can't cross over and expect any big set of treatment. No. You think it's just that? You think it's just like that? So he's in no man's land. He seems to be a fairly decent community activist. And because he's highlighting the plight of the people, especially there in Babis, Region 6, the guys are coming after him. And the tool of choice, and I know that also acutely, is cybercrimes. Soon you talk, you threaten them. they feel threatened and they throw the cybercrime legislation at you. That is how they're hoping to take lots of us off of the airwaves, because they hate the fact that we are highlighting their shortcomings in this manner. They hate the fact, and you will hear Irfan Ali later on in our program admit that we're coming after them. We're coming after them. And they're actually going to try to move legislation and say they're countering the financing of terrorism. You'll hear them start talking about digital assets and all of that. And this particular piece of legislation being misused, being totally misused. The Cybercrime Act is their tool of choice, especially for persons like us who are on social media. You see, you have no television station for them to come and close the door and to ban and all of that. Right? So they're misusing the cybercrime legislation to come after their perceived opponents. And Veersamy Ramaiah, Dr. Veersamy, guys, bring back the headline for us for a sec. Dr. Veersamy Ramaiah is one of the latest victims. I'm, of course, as you know, right now, still embroiled in a court matter since February of this year, because some fella think I call him a trench cap or a jagabat. And using the same legislation, we're in court for months, in the ebb and flow of that matter. Now, Dr. Veersamy Ramaiah, who was supporting them in the last election, you see, now speaking on behalf of the people, highlighting what's happening in Region 6 to the detriment of the people, suddenly, and he said it himself, that he perceives this as political victimization. Folks, there is no middle ground with the PPP. Right? There is no middle ground. You either for them or you're against them. That is their mentality, and that's how they think. Sadly, and the same folks are going to want to talk about one Guyana. Right? But one Guyana void of the rule of law, one Guyana void of transparency, one Guyana void of good governance. That is the one Guyana they talk about and they try to expose. But when you try to really be transparent and to expose what's happening, they got a problem with that. And then is where this whole Cybercrime Act kicks in. And Dr. Veersamy Ramaiah, that community activist from Region 6, is fighting that out very, very, very quickly. And that's one of the things we are tracking this morning. The EPA, no surprises here, the EPA has granted a permit to ExxonMobil to pursue with the gas to show project in Wales Region 3. Mind you, they're still in negotiation for some of the land there that people are still inhabit that's in the part of this pipeline. But EPA has granted approval to ExxonMobil for this gas to energy project, and without insurance. And you know, the experts, the stakeholders in this industry said this is madness here. And as part of this agreement now with ExxonMobil, they say ExxonMobil has the opportunity to get the insurance in a reasonable time. Can you imagine that? Right? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine you have a vehicle, you got on the road, right? And you know, when a policeman stop you, you can say, well, I got a reasonable time to get my insurance. We're talking about the lives of people. And an industry, while it brings in a lot of revenue to any country that has it, poses a lot of environmental risk, and human beings are a natural part of the environment. We're at risk as well. And they say they want to go ahead with this multi-billion-dollar project with no insurance. No insurance, and allowing ExxonMobil in a reasonable time. Well, every right-thinking Guyanese and stakeholder in this process know that Exxon and the EPA is compromised. EPA is not acting as an autonomous body any longer. EPA is compromised and taking instructions from the government. And Sabbath News, for instance, pointed out in one of his editorials recently that the government is more acting like a partner with ExxonMobil and not as a regulator. So you understand why a lot of pressure is being brought to EPA to acting a certain way. Could you go and tell a policeman I give a license in a reasonable, my insurance in a reasonable time? What is a reasonable time? A year, 2 years, whenever you feel to get it. Whenever you feel to get it. A reasonable time. That is part of what they're saying this morning, and one of the things we are tracking, of course, and we're going to have some other details for you on that. Robeson Bell is telling us that they have some measures in place for fire and emergency medical teams for the Christmas buses. What kind of Christmas they're expecting? And we often think, why is it so different from any time of the year? Like when they had the moderation concert at National Park, why we didn't have fire and emergency medical teams on standby? But Ben saying that, during the inspection over the weekend, the guys are fit and ready to proceed and stand by for any eventuality. What are they expecting over the weekend, over this Christmas? They're expecting the high prices and so on to start to spark protests and so on, like in other places. But that being said, that's what they're telling us. That is what they're telling us. They got these emergency medical teams and the fire folks fit as a fiddle and ready for any eventuality. Ready for any eventuality. Well, I hope we don't have to use them because we conduct ourselves properly, right? But let's see what happens, folks. Let's see what happens. Y'all know how Ben is. Y'all know how Ben. I see Ben doing an inspection there. Left much to be desired. When you're doing these inspections, the soldiers, the police, the fire people line off. There's a certain posture the person who is doing the inspection takes. Ben was different. We're going to share that image with you in a subsequent broadcast. Ben struck a pose there. He's just different. He was just different, folks. We want to turn our attention, folks. Thanks for joining us for this segment in the morning papers. Chisel Chipper says it's a high-risk holiday. I don't doubt you for a second, Chisel. I don't doubt you for a second. It's a high-risk holiday. And Beryl Crawford and Dolly Anderson and Maureen Williams. High-risk holiday. Chisel says, and Chisel says this, I think he might be onto something there. Onto something. Couple of things we're tracking internationally, folks. Couple of things brewing internationally. We think you fantastic, wonderful folks ought to know about and that we want to bring to your attention. A couple things brewing. Annette Cummins says here, PPP is bad news. Gwyneth says EPA is now controlled by the PPP. Elon Musk rehearsed this over the weekend, saying that the voice of the people is the voice of God. There you have it. Endorsed. And if we believe that, then what you are saying there, folks, in the comment section, the voice of the people is the voice of God. But quite a few things happening, guys, internationally that we want to draw to your attention. Quite a few things brewing, guys. Brewing internationally. I told you earlier about China. And what's happening on that front? Folks, they aren't taking it very easy at all. COVID-19, that is. And the COVID-19 precaution and preventing the spread of COVID-19 in Shanghai, they tell us. And we got this bit of information out of Reuters. Kudos to the Reuters team, always on the forefront of what's happening internationally. Shanghai tightens security after rare COVID protests across China. There was a fire in one of these areas that has a shutdown. A number of lives were lost, and that really sparked this protest. And truthfully, a rare protest in China. There's the heavy hand of the state there in China, folks. Hold right there first, guys. The heavy hand of the state in China. And so the folks are telling us that the authorities in Beijing truck barriers around the city center area, with hundreds of people protesting over the weekend against these stringent COVID-19 measures as anti-lockdown demonstrations flared across China. They tell us at Reuters that the streets of Shanghai and the capital Beijing, to dozens of university campuses, protesters made a show of civil disobedience. Boots on the ground in China, that's what I'm telling you all. Unprecedented since leader Xi Jinping assumed power over a decade ago, overseeing the quashing of dissent and setting up an extensive high-tech social surveillance system. And so again, from that standpoint, a very unprecedented protest. But the folks have been coming out by their thousands and saying they don't like this extensive lockdown. Some towns here, folks, have been locked down over 3 months. On lockdown for over 3 months. So people are fed up. People want to be outside. People want to be outside. People want to be outside a little bit. Thanks, guys. People want to be outside, and they are making their voices heard. These kinds of repressive regimes, sadly, don't like a lot of light. Seems more and more what the PP is becoming. If we aren't already, they don't like a lot of light. Seems like we're already there. They don't like a lot of light. And this is what we're seeing in Iran since that young protester, that female protester, lost her life. After she engaged with authorities in protest, was admitted to hospital, and then subsequently died. There have been protests ongoing in Iran, I think, in Iran, rather, for about 2 or 3 months now. And they are now refusing to allow the UN to come in and to do some investigation in what's happening there with their own protests. So we're seeing it in a lot of these repressive regime, but the folks there in China, for now at least, they're standing their ground, boots on the ground, folks, boots on the ground, and saying they're fed up with these stringent COVID measures. Yep. We can learn a couple of things from these guys. Yolanda Thomas, we see you here, Alan Phillips and Gwen Anderson. We can learn a couple of things from boots on the ground from these guys. Guys, as you hear with us, why not take the opportunity to smash that emoji button for us, to share the live stream for us, share the live stream. Good morning to our Twitter folks. Good morning to our YouTube folks. Good morning to our Facebook team. Good morning to those of you joining us on LinkedIn and all the other social media networks. Guys, welcome. And of course, we said at the top of the hour, continue to utilize all the protocols that social distancing, wearing your mask, sanitizing. Where COVID-19 is concerned, guys, this thing is real. This thing is real. Let me jump over now to the Ukraine to tell you folks what is brewing at that end. And this one appealed to us when we saw it, that the US is weighing sending a 100-mile strike weapon to Ukraine so that they can put up a better show of defense against the Russians. This is interesting because they tell us in this report that you don't need a lot of support where this particular weapon is concerned, and because the Ukrainians already have a lot of missiles, and this can easily be retrofitted. The thing that stunned us about this is, can you imagine Sandra Ford, Isabella Butters, Michaela, and all the other folks joining us, that you could have a weapon, you're 100 miles away and you could hit a target? You could hit a target? You understand where we are with weapons of war in the 21st century? Well, we got a little rusty AK we used in about 30 years. Right? We won't even see when the missile is fired. We still there waiting with VAK. Where them bikes there? Right? And we trembling, shaking the rust of the AK. Trembling, the rust to shake of the AK. Right? Trembling, and them boys don't fire missile 100 miles out. 100 miles out. See? And you still there looking in the bush with the binoculars, looking for see when the boat can land outside. Right? We are way behind. And the US now is weighing with Boeing. They're weighing with Boeing, the company that makes the aircraft and the other stuff, weighing with them whether or not they should send this to the Ukraine. You could steer 100 miles. My trouble is not the war, it's what happens after. And whose hands all of this military equipment and guns and so on fall into after the conflict subsides. That is the challenge that I have. And whether we might not be creating bigger issues down the road. But I know we got our own problems here, so I can let them alone for a little bit. I know we got our own problems at this end, guys, in the region. We got our own challenges here. We got our own challenges. So I can forgive them boys for now. You see? I can let them for now. Regionally, we got our own challenge, and at home in the 592, we have our own challenge as well. Sheila Boy Child, I see you there. Good morning. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, YouTubers. Good morning, YouTubers. All of you joining us on YouTube. Those of you joining us, you heard me there? Tube. We better see YouTube. That's the way we say it colloquially. Right. All the tubers, tubers. All of you joining us on the tube. Good morning on Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok. To quote Glenn, TikTok. Those of you joining us on TikTok, those of you joining us on the Blue app. Welcome, guys. Share that broadcast for us. Share to your profiles, to your pages, and smash that emoji button too. Too many of you getting complacent. I'm watching some of y'all. Folks are telling us in Trinidad, they've had some immense flood there. Some immense floods in Trinidad. People are being evacuated from certain areas because the flooding is so bad, and what is impending is worse than what is. They're telling us they're bracing it over in Trinidad there for serious flooding. And we saw some communication out of the Ministry of Education in Trinidad that says school is out today, Monday. School is out. They're bracing it over. Those of you people of faith, like I am, let's pray for our brothers and sisters over there. Let's pray for our brothers and sisters over there in Trinidad and Tobago. They're not having an easy time. You're seeing lots of roads are being washed away because of the unusually high rainfall and flooding and mudslides and a whole bunch of stuff happening there. A whole bunch of stuff. And let's stand with our Trinidadian brothers and sisters. They're having quite a time there. School is out this week. Well, at least for Monday today, and lots of more rain expected. The bracing, one headline says, for serious flooding. Serious flooding. But that's Trinidad, folks. We got some stuff happening in Venezuela. We got some stuff happening in our neighbor's country there. They say in international relations, you got no permanent enemies. You got no permanent friends, only interests. Only interest. And the Americans demonstrate that plural subject, plural verb. Well, remember my Concord. The Americans demonstrate that so clearly. There are no permanent enemies, no permanent friends, only permanent interest. And in Venezuela, folks, they've now come to a deal with the Chavez administration and the Maduro administration, rather, and the opposition, right? That the U.S. gonna issue an expanded license to allow Chevron to continue its work there in Venezuela. There was a halt on oil production with Chevron, right? But they managed to iron out this deal, and it's going to also see, wait for it, guys. They're going to also see no permanent interest, no permanent friends, or no permanent enemies, no permanent friends, only permanent interest. This is going to also see, let me make sure I have the right notation for you guys. Yep, some of the funds that the U.S. has frozen being gradually released for humanitarian aid. Again, this is not because the U.S. is nice, right? Remember that war in Ukraine? It's freezing up a lot of gas flow from Ukraine, a lot of oil flow from Russia and the Ukraine. Russia in particular. Well, the U.S. had to seek alternative partners. And so, Chevron being allowed to continue its work in Venezuela is part of them getting another energy source. Right? And so the Americans are now going to be freeing up this fund, freeing up some of the frozen monies they had there, right, for humanitarian aid. Remember that this 28th day of November, folks, There are no permanent friends, no permanent enemies in international relations. Only permanent interests. Right? Only permanent interests. Yeah. The 592, that's what happened by we neighbors. The 592, folks, we got our own basket. We own basket of issues. But some good things happening as well. Some good things happening as well. And right off the bat, a journalist, photographer, photojournalist, Keno George, has published a pictorial, right, launched a fantastic book, gotta get myself a copy, of images of the no confidence motion. And from what I saw and I saw in a short video excerpt, the thing looks like a good book to have. A good book to have. And Keno is a fantastic photographer, has a unique eye, can spot a good photograph, can discern a moment and capture that. Can capture that. And he's published this book here. It's out now. And it's available. Look for it. I think the title of it is I don't have the accurate title right now looking at my notes, but it concerns the images of the no confidence motion. He says it's in three parts: the arrival of parliamentarians at Parliament, the no confidence vote, the debate, and the aftermath. And capturing the imagery of the House and parliamentarians, even some folks who are in the proximity of Parliament. There were some supporters and protesters and so on. Capturing all of that, capturing that moment in time. And I think it's a tremendous coffee table piece to have and to reflect on some of those issues and how we got to this perilous state in which we are currently. So I want to say kudos to photographer, a photojournalist, Keno George, and the launch of his first book. He says there are other things in the work, and we're going to look forward to that. All right? I see Margaret Nelson says that herself and husband already got their copy of that book. I think he said it's available online as well. And we're going to shoot that name to you in a subsequent program. But we're so proud. One of the things that Keno says is very accurate. I think this is recorded in the in Caribbean Loop online publication. They have a website, Caribbean Loop. It's published there. He said is one of the tragedies in this country, and he's absolutely right. We don't record anything. We don't write anything down for posterity. And so all of that institutional knowledge is lost with us. I would love to see former President Granger write, his account of what transpired during his tenure and other folks in that period. Right. I'm not gonna like you, but I'd love to be inside. I'd love to get some of the issues from your standpoint. All right? I'd love to agree with you to get an insight of your own worldview of the situation that occurred in that particular, in that very historical period, because we're still feeling the ramifications of that. And I think it's really remarkable that Keno George, to his credit, was sensing a moment there and captured so many images, himself and another photographer who is also given credit in the work to be able to capture those images. And I want to say kudos to him on that front, and we commend that to you as well. And as we're on that, folks, y'all got a story for us? What brewing by y'all? We hope you're able to sense the story, when you see one, something happening close by you, you think it's story worthy, let us know. Y'all got our number, one number we use here out there. Let us know. You all have our number. And while you're at it, folks, we want to recommend the Alistair Collins Law Firm for all of your legal needs. Good folks, we want to recommend the Alistair Collins Law Firm down there at Callion Mall, Lamaha Street, between Camp and Waterloo. Folks, good folks. You need a commissioner, a host, Chaffee David? Do you need that? You need a JP. You need a justice of the peace. We recommend the Alistair Collins firm. We recommend it, folks. You need some declarations done, affidavits done, agreements. You need some guidance with a will. You need some guidance with the visa process. We recommend the Alistair Collins firm for you. They're gonna give you guys a fix-up. We promise you. They're gonna give you guys the fix-up. And then we got some space for you guys too. You guys got a product. Right? You guys got a product. You guys got a service. You guys have an event. You want to get out there. Something's happening by your end. You want to get out there? Boom. We got some space right here for you too. Your product, your service, your business, your event. Right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. Like right there. Like right there. Right there, folks. Right there. Yep. Just for you good folks. The guys are going to come and help us here for a second. Or not. Let me see if I find back my way. Yeah, I got it back. I seem to have lost my notes there for a second. Yeah, back to some other things brewing, folks. Back to some other. We're back from the ad break. Right there, we got a space for you. Right there. Right there. Give us a buzz and we're going to give you guys the hookup that we can give you from our end. We're going to give you that. The battling with the Harbor Bridge still. You remember, Wanajil told us this bridge, the repairs, after that barge slammed into the bridge and dislocated the whole bridge. Cost $1 billion to repair? $1 billion in damages? Well, the boat company was recently allowed to make a down payment. I think they made $240 million or something like that as a down payment for the liability. But the boat disappeared over the weekend. The boat has disappeared over the weekend. They said it left Guyana unauthorized. And now an investigation is being launched into that. They said a number of staff at the Port Authority have been sent on leave pending that investigation. A number of staff have been sent on leave pending that investigation. And so we are following that, guys. We are following that. All right, we're getting some challenges here. Let me see if we can get them. Yeah. And that's just one of the things we're looking at this morning, guys. In addition to that, over the weekend, we learned of this issue here. This charity woman, Agatha Gamel, was stabbed to death, we're told. We saw some publications said she had her throat slit, and her granddaughter is being held in connection with this gruesome discovery of, again, this woman from charity, a grandmother, Agatha Gamel. Quite a few reports suggest her throat was slashed. And people are still looking at motive here. People are still looking at why would anybody want to do this? Why would anybody want to do this? Her granddaughter is one of the persons that have been held. And guys, we're going to keep you posted as this story unfolds, as it develops. We're going to keep you guys posted there. That's one of the things brewing this morning and being watched. We're circling back to this issue, which is back back to the fore. The advisor on national security, they're telling us an investigation is being carried out into this claim that a stolen Venezuelan military helicopter was brought into Guyana. And he has admitted to Starbuck News that the helicopter was and perhaps is still parked at his hangar, or his company's hangar, at Ogle. He said that the owner, I think one Michael Brassington, asked his son, who now heads the company, to keep the helicopter for him, and his son obliged. But this allegedly stolen, folks, this is Guyana, you know, oh my Lord. This allegedly stolen helicopter is under investigation. That is on the property of the National Security Advisor. So I'm not certain if the National Security Advisor is on the investigation. Well, he is on the investigation, but it was believed that this helicopter was sitting on his premises since 2018. But he told Starbuck News in the report we read that it is only within the last year that it came on Roraima property at the Ogle International Airport. Folks, in which country in the world You have the National Security Advisor with, I would say, a foreign enemy, a piece of equipment, artillery from his arsenal, sitting on his property, and it's just another day. I didn't hear he's on leave, he has stepped back until the investigation is complete. No. It's just another day. I did say Venezuela, military helicopter on Guyana's National Security Advisor property, sit down, being kept, right? An investigation, they tell us, has been launched, but nobody has said whether he has stepped back from that role until this matter is fully ventilated or not. It's just another day. There's just another day. And then boys will come and shout you down and tell you about one Guyana, shout you down and tell you about rule of law and good governance and throw the book at you with the Cybercrime Act. Right? And you could have the whole military helicopter, it is alleged. Stolen, it is alleged. Park up on the property of the National Security Advisor, and that's just another day. You see? Just another day. That's one of the things we're following. That's one of the things brewing, folks. And just like Keno George, we want to say huge congratulations to Andrea Bryan, who held a Pepper Pot Festival over the weekend. I should have gone here, but duty called. And I saw, I think is Big Uncle Gordon Mosley, who perhaps liked Pepper Pot more than me, arguably, though I don't think so, said that it was a fantastic event. And y'all know Gordon don't give kudos easily. So Gordon said, well, sir, I believe him. This young woman, Andrea Bryan, said, this whole thing came to her in a dream. How many of you still dream? She said, came to her in a dream, the whole event. And she planned it out, and she said she had a good response. Had about 70 booths and so on, lots of food and craft and so available. We heard people had a fantastic time, and they hailed it as a success. I want to say kudos to Andrea Bryan. You know, these entrepreneurs throw the belly. You have an idea, and to bring that from the ideation stage to reality, it's no easy feat. Keno George had that idea of that book and how to preserve that moment of in photographs, and now it's reality. Kudos to him. That's not an easy feat. You know, Andrea Bryan, she had a dream about Pepper Pot. She like me. I love Pepper Pot. Dream about this Pepper Pot Festival. Pulled it off, and I'm certain we haven't heard the last of her on this festival. I am almost certain about that. We have not heard the last from her on the Pepper Pot Festival. I wish I had the opportunity to go out there and be part of that, but duty called, folks. Had to be on the ground some other places, but I don't think for that, right? I can make up for that. Next time the Pepper Pot Festival is held, I eat it double. Biggest you folks. Irfan and these walkabouts. Irfan and these presidential walkabouts. I like them from the standpoint, you get an understanding of Irfan, of what he deems as leadership. How do PPP view leadership? Right? How they operate. It gives you an insight. You know, as we look at the big issue this morning, the presidential walkabouts. So for me, the team at our end, it's very insightful. Right? I wish they capture more of them. Very insightful into how they think, the posturing, the worldview, how people are treated and so on. I think it's tremendously insightful. And Irfan did a walkabout over the weekend. To me, it's a reservoir of content for content creators like me. You know, it's a reservoir of content there. Look, we'll show you the first one. This is one in which he calls out Minister Dirat Indar. He said that is a waste of time. Of course, meeting with residents there, you're going to meet with a barrage of criticism. He doesn't handle criticism very well at all. He doesn't. He has a short fuse, as they say. You can't be president of a country and have a short fuse. You just can't. And he reacts. He starts raising his voice and look, I'm telling y'all this, and he's ready to go into that Jagdeo abuse mode. And if Jagdeo is your mentor, then that's your default mode, right? Because you can't go higher than the necessary. I shouldn't say can't, right? But to go higher than the level of your mentor is tremendously difficult unless you ditch your mentor. So his default mode is this abuse mode. And you will think that like they've abandoned cabinet meetings where you can sit across the table and say, what's happening over at Works? What are we doing there? What's on the agenda? That macro look of things. The first time he's engaging issues is when he goes on these walkabouts. Like they've abandoned, at least that's the impression they have. Listen to this exchange they're having about Minister Didat Indar, Minister in the Ministry of Public Works. Didat Indar, listen to this thing.
Make this public now. If Public Works can't get its project that it's working on for the last 5 weeks now, 5 weeks now, completed, that little project. If Public Works can't get it completed, let's take it. We'll take it away from Public Works and put it in another ministry that can get it done. Because it's complete. I don't understand what they're doing.
When they ask Mr. President,
these engineers, and all of them, they sit in the AC office, some of them, and don't do anything. 5 weeks, this road is supposed to be completed.
When they take it and left it for 5 weeks and left it open, so when it's open, it. And it's simple.
Yep. So we're going to hold on that one. That is not the exact one that we want. I think we have it queued now. I think we're going to get a thumbs up from the guys. We have it queued now. And this is one we want to show you.
Who we have from housing? What y'all got to do is to do them settlement again. And let's work with the police, the community leaders, the NDC, and the religious leaders in the community. Get all the religious leaders, get the NDC, right? Jake, you listen? Yes, you. Right? Get the Ministry of Public Works, Ministry of Housing, all the NDC, the leaders in the community, the CDC, MP, the head of them. And y'all work on a plan and get it planned to be by next Friday. Right? Let it meet to the people and everybody. And there is just wasting time. We can't get him on the phone.
I want to go live with them. I want to go live with
Yeah. So he's obviously exasperated with the poor performance of a minister that he appointed, and he has the power to remove and perhaps bring in somebody who is more energetic. Indar seems to have been removed off of the scene for a little bit. It hasn't been seen publicly. We were scouting around looking to see when his last public appearance was. It hasn't been seen since early in November. Publicly, that is, if the photographs or anything to go by available publicly. And here is the finale saying, Indar's a waste of time. You can't get him by phone. And this is very insightful because it's so impulsive. Every Tuesday, there's supposed to be cabinet meeting. And hopefully some of this discussion comes out. Where are we going over the next week? I don't know if the president just wake up in the morning and jump out the bed and say, you know what, I had it done by Leopold Street. Right? Or there's any planning involved. Right? And what is expected? What are the projects ongoing in that area? Where are they in the timeline of completion and so on? That, I think, will be something is it being discussed at cabinet level? But perhaps they've abandoned cabinet. We heard Mr. Jagdeo very early said, I don't go to too much cabinet meetings and so on, so I'm not too certain what happened in there. So maybe Irfan don't go either. Right? You don't go either. Right? He said, Indar is a waste, Indar. Maybe in there spending too much time on the big house in Region 3. Or this house taking up about 3 or 4 lots. You're trying to compete with Jaglio there in Pradoville 4 or 5 or whichever it is now. Huge mansion on the west side. And here's the fellow who appointed Indar. Exasperated. He's a waste. You can't get him by phone. He is a waste. Now, I mean, like, really, this is the team leader among civilians. Talking about the man he appointed. Indar's a waste. He's a waste. Exasperated. Take another look and another listen at that, folks.
Who we have from housing? What y'all gotta do is do them settlement again, and let's work with the police, the community leaders, the advocacy, and the religious leaders in the community. Get all the religious leaders, get the NDC, right? Jake, you listen? Yes, you. Right? Get the Ministry of Public Works, Ministry of Housing, all the NDC, the leaders in the community, the CDC, MP, the NPM, and y'all work on a plan and get this plan to be by next Friday. Right? Let it be to the people and everybody. And there is just wasting time. We can't get them on the phone.
Remember, I want to go live with the mom.
Follow with them.
I want to go live with the mom, then you get to the situation. Sorry.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so much for wasting time in there. It's a waste of time. He's a waste of time, Irfan says. But I want to know, how are these communities functioning? If Irfan doesn't step in, I mean, how many communities this country got? And say, oh, you got to get the police together with somebody, and get a plan to me by Friday. What is the role of the NDC in that community? What is the role of the municipality in that community? Because this clearly is not decentralized. Everything are coming from the center. Right? I want the police to work with them. I want the religious community to meet. Do you now instruct the religious community? Is that happening here? Is that happening here? Get the religious leaders together and let they, because everybody just sit down doing nothing apparently, waiting for you land. Right? That's the only way you can get your bridge fixed, your fence knock up, your roof touch. Right? You got to wait for when this presidential walkabout happening, and then you go and you touch the hem of the garment, and you get your bridge fixed, and you get a half pocket chung min or something like that. Otherwise, it can't happen. Otherwise, it's very insightful, tremendously insightful to see Irfan's leadership at work, how impulsive he is, right? He's a waste. Indar's a waste. That's impulse. Because who now going to Indar? The waste. Who going to Indar? So in that days might be number over there. in that days might be number. But that's just one instance over the weekend. Check this second instance out. This is the first video we are playing here. When he summoned Ejel by phone. Because of course cabinet don't meet anymore. Right? Cabinet. One name is a Scampnet. Right? Wastenet, maybe. But not cabinet. Right? He summoned Ejel by phone, and you can tell you're all at the power centers. Indar clearly is a barrack boy. So he probably don't answer to Irfan, right? So he's flexing now. You can tell they got tensions on the inside. He's a waste. You can tell there are tensions on the inside. He's a waste, right? You can tell that Ejel is not a Irfan boy. Well, who's the Irfan boy? He in barrack column, and now he's being summoned by phone and on this walkabout. This is how you govern our country. And the minister don't visit often, so now you walk through, you realize that they got problems on the ground here, right? Check out this other take.
Get it for the course to come out here every night. Let me call it.
No cheap on East Coast
Okay,
side.
Prezi.
Kiosk, I can't even-
And then you come in and do something. That's how the floor goes. How long more people have to wait for the floor to be completed? No. We all have to finish the drains and
The 4 feet extension would start.
yes. We said we're doing this entire piece of work. In the drains, so when are they going to finish? So when the drains will be awarded? And how long would they take to finish the drains and roads? Listen, if this thing is not finished in 6 weeks, then people gotta be held accountable. The maximum time to complete it is 6 weeks, okay? And I'm saying this in the public. Good.
So you don't have cabinet anymore because you would know if you are going into an area, you're in cabinet the week before, you'd say, Angela, I'm going into All Boys Town. What are the projects being done there? What are the time frame on those projects? So when you go on the ground, you can say to people, this is going to take us another 2 weeks and it's going to be done. You're going to call the minister on the spot to find out what you should be really discussing in cabinet. You understand what I'm saying here? Right? And now you have the Minister of Natural Resources. Don't think we see Vikram Bharat. Clearly he's an earphone boy. Vikram Bharat, Minister of Natural Resource, who should be overlooking that very agreement with ExxonMobil and the EPA with the pipeline there, that the EPA just waived them having the insurance. Right? He should be forthright attending to that. No, he can tell you with that. He has now been relegated to the personal assistant. Get Ethel on the phone for me. You see that? Get Ethel on the phone. Get Indar on the phone. Indar is a waste. He has now been relegated to personal assistant. Right? He's in charge of natural resources, a very complex portfolio, nuanced portfolio with lots of shortcomings that he should be spending every waking moment of his job attending to. Lots of issues outstanding in oil and gas, lots of them. But he has now been relegated because he's not the power broker in oil and gas. Jagdeo is the power broker. Nothing happens in oil and gas without Jagdeo saying so. That's why he got a lot of free time on his hands to be the assistant now. Get Ethel on the phone. I say, how long this matter going to take? Don't tell me you're in church now, pick up offering. How long this thing going to take? You see? I'm saying this publicly. You can say it publicly, privately. If they're saying, Ethel, I'm moving, you're moving. If Bar don't give Ethel the okay to move, Ethel is not moving. So you can talk in private, in public. Does cabinet even meet anymore? Does cabinet even meet anymore? How long it take to award this tender? He said he's going to take the contract from Ministry of Infrastructure, Ministry of Public Works, and give it to some other ministry. Like which other ministry? You can give to build the road. You Sports and Culture? Ministry of Health? Which other ministry? You can give it to. I'm telling you folks, this administration is a gift. And the more you see these walkabouts happen, it's the more insightful they are into the kind of leader. If it isn't clearly, he's not in control. He is not in control because he clearly doesn't know what is happening with his ministerial portfolios. He don't know what Ethel doing in this particular area. Right? He don't know what Indar doing. Indar is now a waste according to him. Right? What does he know? What does he know? And his only reliance now is Vikram Bharat, right? The dullest tool in the toolbox, Vikram Bharat. He has now relegated Vikram to personal assistant. But folks, the weekend is just getting nice. The weekend was just getting started. Because he encountered a citizen on this presidential walkabout, right? Who decided, I have something I want to tell you. I got some things I want to tell you, right? Here's that thing.
Who pretend to be leaders of
But then you have to practice what you preach.
Listen, that's why we're here. That is why you're here. You ever saw 5 years ago, you ever saw any of your leaders there? No.
No, they get the chance.
Oh, they didn't get a chance? Well, I get a chance, and I'm going to do it. I get a chance, and I'm going to do it. You see this wickedness where they use the television to spread the narrative of hate? We're going to destroy it in the communities. We're going to come and talk to the people directly.
Yeah. And again, that is so insightful. Pull back from it. Pull back from it. Right? You got a lot of things happening here. Interestingly enough, this is 16 days of activism against violence against women and girls. 16 days. So if violence is encountering a woman in a community, who dares to have something to say? Right? He wants to have conversations, but he's the only person that must be talking. He's the only person that must be talking in this one Guyana. There must be no dissenting views. His view is the only view that matters in this one Guyana. Once you talk back, he can't even hear you. He walks on. 16 days of activism. And I'm going to be talking about the hypocrites. It's 16 days of hypocrites. 16 days of hypocrites in activism. We can talk about them later on. And he's engaging this woman, right? And she wants to engage him, but he wants to do all the talking, right? He doesn't like feedback, right? He gets some feedback in the community. Hey, Jill, what's happening here? He gets some feedback from people, there's a waste. And pretty much saying the same about this woman who dares to say, listen, hold on, I have an opinion. Right? He shuts her down and says he's going to communities to listen. But the woman talking to you, but you're listening. I'm going to the people directly. Which people? The ones who say nothing? Or the ones who want to have an honest conversation with you? Right? But you see, it doesn't fit into his narrative. You see, if that woman had said, oh, Evan, good to see you. We never see them boys, she'll get a nice photo. But she has a contrary view. So you can views down. Right? This is 16 days of activism against violence against women and girls. You're in that period. She has a contrary view. Right? And he can views down. Because she doesn't agree with his view of things. The fellow who says, he's going directly to the people. But are you listening, Mr. President? Or are you the only one doing the talking? You're the only one doing the talking. Isn't that the problem the Alliance for Change had with the consultation the other day? The electoral reform consultation. You have a consultation to consult. You got to talk. And get an annual talk for 2 hours. The people get about 10 minutes to talk on the program. They get 2 hours. And they're vexed when people don't want to listen to them for 2 hours. That's the finale. You see? He wants to be the only one doing the talking. He will answer the question and answer it himself. You see? And when you don't hear what he wants, if you only said, right, them boys, up news ways, I happy you come, look how you doing thing, look how you walking about and so on. Picture perfect moment, one Guyana, but a contrary view is not one Guyana. Somebody, he said, brainwashing she on television, and we're going to break it up because she disagrees with his views during this 16 days of activism. You know, violence against women and girls, gender-based violence, 16 days, he walks away. That woman could probably be his mother, right? But you don't want to listen to her. He want a voice louder than his or equal to his. So he walks away. I can show you. Take another look at it.
Who pretend to be leaders of
But then you have to practice what you preach.
Listen,
That's why we're here.
that is why you're
That's
here.
why we're
You
here.
ever saw
Action, not talking
5 years ago,
about
you ever saw any of your leaders there? No.
So they get a chance.
Oh, they didn't get a chance? Well, I get a chance, and I'm going to do it. I get a chance, and I'm going to do it. You see this wickedness where they use the television to spread the narrative of hate? We're going to destroy it in the communities. We're going to come and talk to the people directly.
Once she has a contrary view, is wickedness. You see? It's somebody who is guiding her differently. Once you have a different view of what one guy should look like, it's wickedness. And then he's pointing his hands up in her face. You see y'all? You see y'all? This wickedness on television, people dividing this country. Right? It's now you pointing up your hand in your face like that is the problem. It's somebody else. Right? It's not you listening to her. You know, like a normal president would. Right? Disagree with her. I share a different view. This is what I believe. This is how I believe we can be helpful. And, you know, in one Guyana, we can agree to disagree and disagree agreeably. Right? But this is how I think we should approach it and move on. You see, you ain't get the satisfaction after pointing up your hand. He walks on. How disrespectful. How absolutely disrespectful of a woman, right? An elderly woman in a community, and 16 days of activism. But if you can't treat your own minister in there with any respect, you appoint and you have the power to unappoint for non-performance or underperformance. If you could treat Edgel with such scant regard publicly, who is a mere woman in a community who has a voice and wants to be heard, just like you, who wants to be heard, right? They didn't do nothing for y'all, and I can do it. I can show y'all. And then they come down. Oh, we support empowering women and giving a voice to women. Actions speak louder than words. Action. Oh, we are all for empowering women voices, and we listen and we care. Demonstrate it in the communities that you visit, right? By respecting women folk, young and old alike, Indian and black. Respect them, listen to them, right? But when your voice is the only voice that matters, your thoughts, your ideas are the only ones that matters, we're in a bad spot. We're in a bad spot. Run it one more time. Run that one more time.
Who pretend to be leaders of
But then you have to practice what you preach.
Listen,
That's why we're here.
that is why you're
That's
here.
why we're
You
here.
ever saw
Action, not talking
5 years ago,
about
you ever saw any of your leaders there? No.
So they get a chance.
Oh, they didn't get a chance? Well, I get a chance, and I'm going to do it. I get a chance, and I'm going to do it.
You see, again, another example. He asks a question, right? He gives the answer because he's not there to listen. He's there to tell you what's happening. You ever saw any of your leaders say no? You ever saw any of your leaders say no? No? You saw that? Bring that back, guys. I don't know what's happening here. Yeah. You ever saw any of your leaders here? No. Pretty interesting, guys. Pretty interesting. You know, pretty interesting. We're going to continue, guys, to unpack that. Apologies there. We're getting some. We're going to continue to unpack that. We've gone way past our program time. Thanks for joining us this morning. Share the like before you go. Smash that emoji button. Valid, credible information, guys. And partner with us as well. I think the guys are going to leave you with a live shot of somewhere in the city this morning. Have a great day. See you guys back on the podcast. Stay safe.